Hi there, today we have a very special video, so I'm going to ask you to like it. And if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel. Ever wondered how a young Corsican officer could rise to become the Emperor of France? Well, our story begins in 1769 with the birth of Napoleon Bonaparte. Born on the Italian island of Corsica, Napoleon was quickly recognized for his intelligence and ambition. Fueled by these traits, he set his sights on a career in the military, and before long he was making strides that belied his years. Interestingly, the name that we know him by today, Napoleon, is actually an Italianization of his original name, Napoleon, a change that occurred when he moved to mainland France. As the French Revolution was unfurling, Napoleon's strategic prowess and leadership qualities shone through, catapulting him to prominence within the military. He was fast, he was decisive, and he was ambitious. Napoleon was quick to make his mark, standing out for his intelligence and ambition, and swiftly rising through the ranks during the French Revolution. Napoleon wasn't just a political figure, he was a military genius. In the late 18th century, Napoleon began his military career as an artillery officer, where his strategic brilliance quickly became apparent. His first major victory was against Austria in the Italian campaigns, where he effectively used the divide-and-conquer strategy, breaking up the enemy forces and defeating them separately. This victory was not just a military triumph, but also a political one, as it established him as a hero in France. Next, he turned his eyes towards Egypt. While this campaign was ultimately a strategic failure due to the British Navy's interference, it was a cultural and scientific success, as Napoleon brought along scientists and scholars who would pave the way for Egyptology. Then came the Battle of Marengo against Austria once again. With his back against the wall, Napoleon demonstrated his military prowess by turning a near defeat into a stunning victory. He surprised the Austrians with a rapid counterattack, showing his ability to think on his feet and adapt to changing circumstances. Napoleon's successful campaigns were not solely due to his strategic genius but also his charisma. His soldiers admired him, and he often led them into battle himself, inspiring loyalty and courage among his troops. His ability to inspire and lead made him more than just a military leader, it made him a symbol of French resilience and ambition. Napoleon's victories made him a hero in France, his strategic genius admired and his charisma irresistible. From general to ruler, Napoleon's ascent to power was swift and decisive. In the aftermath of the French Revolution, the political landscape was turbulent and ripe for a new leader. Napoleon seized this opportunity in a political maneuver known as the coup d'état of 18 Brumaire, which took place in November 1799. This allowed him to overthrow the existing government known as the Directory, and establish a new political structure with himself at the helm as first consul. Napoleon's assumption of power was more than just a change in leadership. It marked the beginning of a new era in French history. He centralized power, establishing a strong, efficient government that was able to enact sweeping reforms across the nation. From the legal system to the education sector, Napoleon's influence was felt in every corner of French society. Perhaps the most symbolic moment of Napoleon's rise to power was his self-coronation as Emperor of France in 1804. In a grand ceremony at the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, Napoleon placed the imperial crown upon his own head, signifying his absolute authority over the nation. Napoleon's rule brought about a period of considerable change in France, modernizing the country and centralizing power. His reign, though controversial, left an indelible mark on French history and continues to be a subject of fascination and debate to this day. But Napoleon's ambitions didn't stop at France's borders. The Napoleonic Wars, spanning from 1803 to 1815, were a tumultuous period of bloody conflicts and the spread of French rule across Europe. Napoleon's military prowess was on full display as he led the French forces against multiple coalitions. However, the tide turned against him at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. The British and Prussian forces under the command of the Duke of Wellington and Gebhard Leberecht von Blücher, respectively, dealt a crushing blow to Napoleon's Grand Army. This defeat marked a turning point in European history, leading to Napoleon's abdication and exile. It's from this historic event that we get the expression, "to beat a retreat," symbolizing a hasty withdrawal from a failed venture. The defeat at Waterloo marked the end of Napoleon's reign, but his impact was far from over. From emperor to exile, Napoleon's final years were spent far from the country he once ruled. After his defeat at Waterloo in 1815, Napoleon was banished to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic. His grandeur was stripped down to a simple life, a far cry from the opulence he once knew. Here, he spent his final days chronicling his life and his exploits, his victories and his defeats. But in 1821, Napoleon's journey came to an end. The once mighty Emperor of France passed away, leaving behind a legacy that would echo through the centuries. His remains didn't find their final resting place until nearly 2 decades later. In 1840, his body was exhumed and transported back to France, where it was interred in the magnificent Dôme des Invalides in Paris. Even in death, Napoleon's legacy continues to influence politics, culture, and society to this day. Napoleon Bonaparte, a man of ambition, a man of power, a man whose legacy lives on. His journey from a young Corsican officer to the Emperor of France is one of the most dramatic in history. His military genius, political acumen, and reforms have left an indelible mark on the world. But his quest for power also led to devastating wars and his own downfall. Remember to subscribe for more content about great historical figures, their achievements and their impact on the world. See you in the next video.